Hello, everybody. David Shuster here. The Trump administration's Justice Department is now trying to manipulate and mislead Americans with this.
Welcome back. Attorney General Pam Bondi is accusing a federal judge of misconduct. A Justice Department complaint alleges that Judge James Boasberg made improper comments about the Trump administration earlier this year.
And what comments?
His belief that the Trump administration would, quote, disregard rulings of federal courts and trigger a, quote, constitutional crisis.
And here's the kicker. The Trump administration already triggered a constitutional crisis. In one blatant case, the Trump administration allowed a deportation flight to El Salvador to take off after Judge Boasberg ordered it halted. That's not speculation, that's a fact.
Donald Trump and Pam Bondi have taken gaslighting to ridiculous new lows.
And never mind the gaslighting of Judge Boasberg and the American people, the Justice Department record of snubbing the courts is not isolated to one deportation case. Washington Post headline, Trump officials accused of defying 1 in 3 judges who ruled against him. A comprehensive analysis of hundreds of lawsuits against Trump policy shows dozens of examples of defiance, delay, and dishonesty, which experts say pose an unprecedented threat to the U.S. legal system. Quote, President Donald Trump and his appointees have been accused of flouting courts in a third of more than 160 lawsuits against the administration in which a judge has issued a substantive ruling, a Washington Post analysis has found, suggesting widespread noncompliance with America's legal system.
Pam Bondi apparently won't stand for anybody else undermining the judiciary. I guess that's the exclusive province of Pam Bondi's Department of Justice. Are you kidding me, friends, with apologies for the F-bomb? You know, this is gaslighting at its most absurd.
Now, regarding the Justice Department complaint against Judge Boasberg, let's be clear. The complaint itself is a marvel of bureaucratic farce, the kind of gibberish one might expect from a Russian apparatchik who took a correspondence course in American civics. The DOJ, now less a Department of Justice and more a Department of Jabberwocky, claims that Boasberg acted improperly by suggesting that the Trump administration might ignore court orders. According to the Justice Department complaint on March 11, 2025, Judge Boasberg attended a session of the Judicial Conference of the United States and expressed concerns that the administration would disregard rulings of the federal courts, leading to a constitutional crisis. That is the sum total of the complaint. That Judge Boasberg had a concern that the Trump administration would defy court orders. And they have. And the Trump administration will likely continue to defy court orders. Legal experts point out that Judge Boasberg's comments and actions are not judicial misconduct. As for the Trump administration complaint,
this is gaslighting at its most absurd. I mean, what will Pam Bondi allege next? Will she file a complaint against Judge Boasberg saying he wears a bad blonde comb-over and an orange spray-on tan and a red tie that's too long and he cheats at golf? Gaslighting at its most absurd.
It is no secret, at least to those of us with functioning frontal lobes, that the Trump administration has treated the rule of law as a minor inconvenience, akin to a traffic cone one simply drives over on the way to authoritarianism. Boasberg's supposed crime? Daring to speak the truth out loud in a tone not properly deferential to the orange-fingered messiah in Mar-a-Lago. And this complaint is from the same administration that defied Boasberg's own ruling in real time, allowing a plane carrying migrants to El Salvador to take off in bald defiance of his order. To file a complaint against a federal judge for warning of lawlessness while your department actively breaks the law isn't just ironic, it's dangerous. Of course, the Trump team has tried this with other judges before.
Just earlier this year, DOJ filed a complaint against another federal judge for alleged misconduct in a case challenging the White House policy barring transgenders from serving in the military. We reached out to Judge Boasberg. No comment from the judge or the court this morning, but this complaint will go to one step higher on the Court of Appeals, the chief judge there.
Legal experts say the chief judge on the Court of Appeals, once he stops laughing at the Trump Justice Department, will reject their complaint. In the meantime, the Trump administration is not only attacking judges it disagrees with, the administration is elevating others who carry Donald Trump's water. Emile Beauvais is a former Trump lawyer and Justice Department attorney. He was recently nominated to the federal bench and confirmed by the Republican-led U.S. Senate, despite Beauvais allegedly having told Justice Department colleagues to ignore court orders if it helped Donald Trump politically.
He was also part of that Kilmar Abrego Garcia case. You'll recall that was the man mistakenly deported from Maryland to El Salvador. A whistleblower alleged Beauvais told his staff to disregard the court orders if need be.
In most administrations, this would be a scandal. With Trump and the Republicans, it's a resume booster.
They reward a man credibly accused of wanting to lie to judges, with a black robe and a gavel of his own. And they're confirming him for one reason only. Mr. Beauvais is loyal to Donald Trump. Therefore, Donald Trump wants him on the bench.
This is no longer simply political theater. It is the active sabotage of our judicial integrity. A slow-motion coup carried out by MAGA toadies with vacant moral centers. Pam Bondi, who once wrapped herself in the banner of law and order, now presides over its destruction, all while accusing those who point out the damage of starting it. If Bondi's idea of justice is the suppression of judicial honesty and the elevation of court-defying cronies, we have gone far beyond tyranny. As Glenn Kirshner delicately put it, are you kidding? Tragically, the Trumpsters are not. By the way, Donald Trump's defenders on Fox News recently got blasted to their faces over the president's economic damage.
And you also see headlines like Walmart raising prices up to 51%. They're doing that because they're not going to eat the tariff. They're going to pass it on to you.
And that was the lone liberal on Fox News, Jessica Tarlov, ripping conservative co-host Jesse Waters.
The 15% thing is great because it's small enough where the importers here will eat the tariff and not pass on the price hike. But it's big enough, because that's what they're already doing, but it's big enough to make U.S. industry more competitive.
Every trade war that we are engaging in, Donald Trump brought that one up himself, except for China. China is the one that you really have an issue with, but we essentially had favored nations with the EU being about 1% import. So 15% is a lot more than 1%. And I rarely say that I wish somebody else would take my seat, at least for this segment, but I wish Charlie Gasparino was sitting here right now to explain to Jesse again how tariffs work, because it is a tax on the American consumer.
Check out that video at the link below. It generated a lot of comments on YouTube. One of the most popular from Joey, who wrote, "Jessica deserves combat pay for being on Fox News." Indeed. I look forward to reading your comments about Attorney General Pam Bondi getting blasted for gaslighting and for projection. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.